Hello everyone, it's the 16th of October 2025. I'm Gary Waterman, a former UK police constable. This is the second time that I'm doing this video because I made a mistake, and thank you to the individual that pointed that out. I'd gone into the wrong company record next to the one I was looking for and thought the government had removed a particular name record, which would have been critical in all of this. So my apologies, they had not removed a record. And what we're going to look at is how the evidence surrounding ICNIRP leads into Mishcon de Reya, and also then into the research surrounding the incinerator plants in Wuhan and how that connects to Lancashire here in the United Kingdom, into the Nicola Bulley case, and then makes potential references back into the Collider technology and how that ties in with Dorset again. So earlier on in the document, we were looking at, if you've got the document, you'll be able to see it, the apocalyptic deception that Derren Brown was involved in. And please, if you want the document, please contact me. You can do that on my mobile number, and I urge you to WhatsApp me, please. Not a normal number, not a normal phone call, and a WhatsApp, because I can share the evidence much easier than the evidential research document and the strategy document. So my WhatsApp is 07 883 073 043. At 07 883 073 043. If you're outside of the United Kingdom, then it's +44 7883 073 043, because this is international government fraud. So earlier in the document, we were looking at Derren Brown, who was a hypnotist, and he was involved in an apocalyptic deception in 2012, which in itself is very, very important. And the research from the Companies House records, which is the main evidence in all of this, linked Derren Brown into the College of Policing and into political organisations linked into the fraud. So Lord Herbert also connects to Countryside Alliance and John Jackson of this company to Europe China Investment and Trading Limited, that was incorporated in 2003 and dissolved in April 2019. This is 3 months before Jeffrey Epstein and Julian Assange was arrested, and protests took place in Wuhan, China, regarding an incinerator plant, which is all relevant to this. And again, you can see this on the document when you have it. Cell towers were then erected there the month afterwards, which is the same month that Jeffrey Epstein was supposedly died in prison, and with the supposed COVID outbreak being in December that year in Wuhan. The incorporation document for Countryside Alliance shows Mishcon de Reya, that I suspect relates to the de Reya family of Exmoor Manor Freehold Limited and the former Assistant Chief Constable of Dorset Police, Sam de Reya, at the time of my initial inquiries. Now, the research I had shows that the de Reyas appeared to have paid nothing into the accounts of the company. And all in all, with everybody that hadn't paid in, there was appeared to be over £167,000 that had not been paid in. And then I obviously started reporting all of this to Dorset Police, and Sam de Reya was overseeing, which I didn't know at the time, overseeing the economic crime unit where I was reporting this to in Dorset Police. Sam de Reya was then moved to Hampshire and Isle of Wight, as were many, many other people, as I continued to expose all of this. So Mishcon de Reya connects significantly to the research of the International Commission of Non-Ionising Radiation, or ICNIRP, an organisation that monitors and supposedly regulates the safety of mobile communications networks, and also I believe they're involved in the safety regulations in relation to the emission from cell towers. And according to research links to working name of ICRP, if we just have a quick look at the remember, this is just supplementary to the Companies House research and evidence, which is irrefutable. But here we have the Wikipedia entry for the International Commission of Non-Ionising Radiation Protection, or ICNIRP, which is, it says, is an international commission specialised in non-ionisation radiation protection. The organisation's activities include determining exposure limits for electromagnetic fields, used by devices such as cellular phones, but also cell towers supposedly and also emit electromagnetic radiation or fields. ICNIRP, reading below there, is an independent non-profit scientific organisation chartered in Germany. Now, this is important in itself because the evidence from the Church of Satan, which appears to have been infiltrated as part of the deception, however, that appears to link in with Germany, as does a very important company, Siemens, that was linked to the Nazi regime. There's multiple other connections coming in from Germany in this. It's obviously a very important connection, and how that ties in with the deception in relation to the world wars. So it was founded in 1992 by the International Radiation Protection Association, to which it maintains close relations. Well, 1992 is an incredibly important year. Those that followed my evidence will know that it was 1991, the year before, that David Icke came out and said the world would be devastated by earthquakes and tsunamis, which all becomes relevant to my evidence. If you go back a little bit more, 1989 was when the World Wide Web was created for CERN, and that person that created it was Tim Berners-Lee, who lived in the same town in Wimborne in Dorset as the Flemings, who initiated my removal from Exbourne Manor. And he was also connected to companies in Bournemouth and Ferndown, and they link almost immediately to Exbourne Manor as well. So this is all leading up to 1991, also when the relativistic heavy ion collider was started to be built in New York. That was activated in 2000, the year before the World Trade Center disaster. And in the last couple of days, I am seeing more evidence now that suggests that technology may well have been used to bring down the World Trade Center disaster as part of all of this. So that happened. Also, Terminator 2 Judgment Day, my favourite movie, which actually links in via its director into this. James Cameron links into the fraud research. That movie came out that year. And also 1992 then is the year that the Companies House records started to become electronic, which is how I've identified the fraud, because the forgery is through the register, but also it looks like incorporation documents have been forged. So it's a very important year. So ICRP Limited was incorporated in 2015, dissolved on the 20th of June 2017, just over a month after Fleming Co Limited was incorporated, and connects to the research of international leaders to the fraud, as mentioned elsewhere. It is also the year that Donald Trump became the 45th president, and then he came back in this year as the 47th. So 4 and 5 plus 5, 4 and 5 equals 9. And he came in as the 47th president this year. 4 and 7 equals 11. Same date as the World Trade Center, 9/11, everybody. It's no coincidence. It's the same year that Louise Smith became this new CEO of Companies House, and the research links her to the fraud. And I suspect, don't know for sure, but I suspect she may be related to John Smythe, who is the person, or Smith, who is the person where the scandal in relation to the Archbishop of Canterbury led to his resignation. I suspect it's all to do with this, though. It's also the same year when the Depopulation Deagle report was created. Now, I can't confirm that's an authentic document and that was real. It might be part of the deception, but it stated, for example, that the United Kingdom would be down by its population, would go down to 14 million from 66 million this year. Okay, or at least from 2017 until this year, it would go down from that amount to 14 million. It's also the same year when the Grenfell Tower fire and the Manchester Arena bombing occurred, which all become very relevant in the research, and you can look at those in the document and how they tie in. Zubair Azdani, apparently a director of ICRP Limited for less than a month, okay, connects to Camden Community Law Centre. Angela Mason had been appointed as director of a Camden Community Law Centre from the 20th of July 2012. This is 16 days after CERN. Remember the Large Hadron Collider? It ties in with the collider technology again, and there's vast amounts of evidence suggesting this is what this is mainly about, and the falsified prophecies. Supposedly discovered the God's particle in this time, and connects to the Hampstead Wells and Camden Trust via Angela Mason. Hampstead Wells and Camden Trust was incorporated on the 20th of September 2002, almost a year to the day after the World Trade Center disaster, and importantly has Bates Wells and Braithwaite on its incorporation document, making links to the Royal Foundation of the Prince and Princess of Wales, which links all areas of the fraud practically. It links to the Death Penalty Project Limited and Keir Starmer, who was the director for that company, and to the Madeleine McCann case, as well as to the investigation of Sean Combs, or P. Diddy, who used Bates Wells and Braithwaite for his defence, according to the research. And of course, this investigation started in 2023, so it looks as though that was being used potentially to conceal or destroy evidence in relation to the larger element of the fraud. And we'll just have a quick look at this so you can see it. So here's ICRP Limited. You can see it dissolved in June 2017. We go into the people record. We can see somewhere Mr. or Mrs. Yazdani. If we go into there, we can see the Camden Company. Bottom here, Camden Community. They resigned in March 2012. And then from here we can see that this company started in 1984. It's a solicitor's firm. If we go into the people record, you can see, I think it's on page 2. Yeah, we'll come to Phoebe McClarty in a minute, which is very important. There is also an interesting blood company linking here, if I can remember and find it. But if we go to Mason, which is here somewhere, I believe. Here we go, Angela Margaret Mason, and she was appointed in July 2012, which is 16 days after the CERN Large Hadron Collider discovered the Higgs boson or God particle, according to the research. And look when she resigned in this year, June, as the exposure continued. If we go into her records, there's 3 companies, and one of them is the Hampstead Wells and Camden Trust, which becomes very important. This is the location of the Hampstead Child Abuse Inquiry, is Hampstead, okay? And if we go into that company, you can see it started a year almost to the day after the World Trade Center disaster. And if we look on the filing history on the incorporation document, you'll see Bates, Wells and Braithwaite, and those who have followed my evidence will know how important this is. And you can search throughout the document for everything I'm telling you and verify it all from the links. This is why this document is probably the most important evidence on the planet at the moment. It has the ability to change the world forever for the better. And if it loads up, just to confirm, okay, on page 2 you have Bates, Wells and Braithwaite. In fact, it's on several pages, but there it is, just so you can see it. So this then links to Keir Starmer via the Death Penalty Project Limited. It connects to the the Madeleine McCann case and the Royal Foundation of the Prince and Princess of Wales. We go back to the Camden Trust. I just want to show you how this ties into actually, let me just have a quick look, because I think it's in here where the blood company is. Hopefully it's still marked. Here we go. Yeah, so here we have a Dr. Robin Gideon Wolfson. Now, unfortunately, the medical profession is massively linked into everything that's going on here, everybody. All right, and Deborah Fleming, the one that initiated my removal, was the head of the chief executive, of the NHS for Isle of Wight, Hampshire and Dorset. And it looks like she resigned specifically to come and get involved in Exbourne Manor, and she was the one that initiated my removal. So it's not this record, but the Epilepsy Society does feature throughout the fraud, although I haven't actually focused on it. I do suspect that most of the health issues are as a result of the technology that they have in place deliberately. It's pretty overwhelming, to be honest with you. There is another record, I don't know if I've actually highlighted it, that goes to a blood company. Don't think this is on page 2, is it? No, I'm not going to worry if it or not. But if you can always look at them. That's one I looked at. Oh, it's this one, I think. Is it this one? Yeah, there we go. So bearing in mind we've got the Hampstead company as well. We also have Disco Blood Limited, and they were appointed in July 2022, which is the same month that Anthony Roberts resigned from Exbourne Manor Freehold Limited after I wanted to look at the bank documents whilst I was a director, and they resigned in 2023 from that company. The actual company was started in July 2022, so had an original name there at the bottom. You can see changed its name not long before it. Oh yeah, so it's still an active company. So I just thought that was interesting. That was something else I'd found previously. So if we go back into the Camden company, is it this one? No, so back again. Then we'll look at Phoebe, which was on the, where is it? On page 1. McCarthy. There we go. So Phoebe McCarthy, look, when she was appointed 2022 in March, as I was making inquiries at Exbourne Manor Freehold Limited, and she connects to Mishcon de Raya LLP. and you can see she was appointed there in April 2022 as well. And if we go into the people record, Nicholas Davis connects to a Waterman's company. Now my family, for whatever reason, linked to all key areas of the fraud. It's interesting, you've also got spice trading. I haven't gone into all of these. I'm sure I could find so much more evidence, but obviously I'm limited on time and I've got to focus on the biggest stuff I can find. So you've got chemicals, Waterman Chemicals Limited. Now I can't confirm that's linked to my family. However, I haven't come across many Waterman companies, and the connections are very important that's been made to my family for whatever reason. I don't know why that reason is, but I do seem to be right in the middle of all of this. I've had absolutely nothing to do with it. So it's pretty fascinating, that side of things. And if we go into it, I've just had a look at my notes again. You can see this company was incorporated in 1988, so the year before the World Wide Web was created for CERN. See, it actually changed its name a year later, less than a year later, the same year that the World Wide Web was created for CERN. And I found connections to my family into, it looks like, references to CERN, and they are linked in very quickly to Jimmy Savile, which I have definitely found connections closely linked to CERN and the Association of Police and Crime Commissioners. And the Association of Police and Crime Commissioners was started in 2012, the same year that the Higgs boson or God particle was discovered by CERN. You can see here 2021, a change of an address. But if we go on to the incorporation document, those that follow my evidence will understand how important this is. Incorporation document. And on there, we should see if it loads up. There you go. Swift Incorporations and Jordan's Limited. So there's Swift Incorporations Limited. You can just see it. I suspect this is a forged document potentially, because the top box should have a line going across it and the template document, and the text is different. And then further down you should see Jordan and Sons. There we go. Jordan's. There we go. So these are the same two companies that started Exmoor Manor Freehold Limited. This is the most important company in the fraud that started in 1965, the year before the Church of Satan. And the same two companies started my father's company in Kent. He was a carpenter, and I worked with him for a while before I went into the police. So yeah, exact same companies that started Exmoor Manor Freehold Limited, started my father's company, a record for my father's company in Kent, 3.5 hours away from Exmoor Manor, where I knew nobody when I moved down there. Mishcon de Raya LLP, and we have a James Lewis Lisbon, born 1966, same year as the Church of Satan was founded. And within there we have a UK Media Research Centre, Mishcon Purpose Limited, Mishcon de Raya Operations Limited, and he's a lawyer. Look at the bottom right hand corner, supposedly a lawyer. They're all involved in this, everybody. The solicitors are all involved, every single one of them. And this company, on its incorporation document, I believe, just to confirm, it had these names at the bottom here. Look when they changed their names. At the bottom, it was Mishcon de Raya Group PLC. Changed it in 2023, and then again in 2023. On the same day, they changed it again, 16th of March, changed it to this number, this company. And then if we look on the filing history, we're going to see that is, I believe, has the London Law Agency on it. And what we're going to do is show you how this all becomes relevant. Okay, there's a reason I'm showing these connections to ICNIRP. On the incorporation document, I think you should have the London Law Agency. Here we go. So this is a criminal organisation. This makes this organisation also fraudulent. Mishcon de Raya Company. And then if we go back into the people record for this, is it this one? No, back into Mishcon de Raya LLP, and we should have Annabelle Thomas. Probably going to be on the next page. No, I was miles away, so it's quite a lot further on. Just checked. And you can see her name is, look at, there's so many directors on this. Look how many pages are at the bottom. So many directors for it. But you've got, towards the end, Annabel Thomas. She's here. And if we click on that, she was born in 1977. You can see Camford School in Wimborne, which is already featured throughout the fraud. Okay, and the Wimborne is where the Flemings lived. And it's an old company, started in 1923. You can see the schools are a massive part of this, everybody. And Wimborne is where Tim Berners-Lee, as I said earlier, lived as well, who created the World Wide Web for CERN. Then back into Mishcon de Reya and Paul Noble, who was appointed in 2018 and resigned as I continued to expose the fraud in 2023. He connects to 5 companies, including Pegasus Tax, okay, which appears to make reference to the Pegasus organization that ties in with the Israeli intelligence agencies. And this company was started in March 2010, the same year that CERN Limited was created. Just noticed in Mishcon de Reya LLP there's also an Epstein surname, which is quite interesting. Didn't realise that before. I'm just going to show that to you. Epstein, Adam James Epstein, resigned this year, March, appointed October 2015. Remember, there's no verification at all, so that could well be a reference to Jeffrey Epstein. I doubt very much he's in prison. He's actually passed away. I very much doubt it. Also within Mishcon de Reya, which is the research I'd previously done, we have a Daniel Greenway. You can see here, appointed in September 2016, which is not long after the, was the same year as the Pizzagate scandal. If we go into his record, we can see he's got 4 companies. K&L Gates LLP, I haven't gone into that, could relate to the Gates family, potentially, but we have Pincent Masons International LLP and Pincent Masons. Now they connect into the research throughout the document. Particularly is important is the connection to the research of the doomsday clock that I'd identified, and you can go and look at that within the document. Also within the Mishcon de Reya company, just point this out, there is a Saville surname. Okay, and they resigned 2024. Remember, there's no verification. As I'm continuing the fraud, let's have a look in this record. So we've got 8 companies here. I haven't actually seen this, so this is new information to me as well. There's nothing that's jumping out to me without going into them. The Mishcon de Reya company. And then also Mishcon de Reya LLP, we have Daniel Cummins. And this is actually really important now. You can see he resigned 2023 as a continued the exposure. Remember, a lot of these people could be fake details entered by the government. And we've got KPMG then, which is very important because, let's go back to my document. Remember KPMG. So KPMG had been used for the auditing of Bournemouth, Christchurch and Poole Council and the research surrounding my wife's cousin. A KPMG link into that, and appearing to link to them having recently moved to Kent. It also then ties in with their uncle, who then links in with very important connections via Humphreys Kirk in the document. You can look at this, and then that ties in with the helicopter crash research and how that then links back into the fraud in very important ways. KPMG also connects directly to the research of Amanda Pearson that was brought in as the Chief Constable of Dorset Police after Scott Chilton moved, after I reported the fraud, and he later resigned on the very same day that I released my evidence connecting to the Satanic Temple United Kingdom. The research of Amanda Pearson, that was brought in from the Metropolitan Police to be the chief for Dorset, links to Skin and Clinton companies, as you can see elsewhere in the document. You can go and search for that. I'm not going to just read the rest of this bit for now, Guy Wilkes of Mishcon de Reya LLP connects to Mayer Brown International LLP. It was incorporated in 2002 and features in my research surrounding David Cameron. I believe that also links in with the research of Chris Wray, who was the former head of the FIB, I think. Christopher Harvey connects Mayer Brown International to CMS Cameron McKenna. Nabarro Olswang that links to Dundas and Wilson, Donald Trump, members of the royal family, Jimmy Savile, and the main Freemason Lodge as shown elsewhere. Claire Broadbent of Mishcon de Reya LLP connects to the London Chamber of Commerce. In brackets, this company has been incorporated in 1881, had an address of Queen Street, has a forged register in Waterloo and Sons on its memorandum of articles of association. The company had recently featured in my research regarding Donald Trump, Benjamin Netanyahu, and the leader of Iran linking to Flemenco Limited, as well as in the research of Nazi-linked Siemens and the Edge Foundation that there's articles suggested have been funded by Jeffrey Epstein. So you can see how important Mishcon de Reya is. Emma Walcott of Mishcon de Reya connects to Switchboard LGBT+. Okay, possibly making reference to transgenderism, and it's linked to the Baphomet and the Church of Satan. Now remember, everything has been inverted, and I suspect now, and many people are saying this and showing fairly credible information to support it, that everyone that we're seeing on the television, for example, and in high-profile politicians, etc., may be inverted of their sex. You know, I know that's quite a hard thing for people to take on, but it's very clear that inversion has been happening right the way through this. And if we follow that through to what I'm identifying with the connection to the falsified biblical prophecies and the black hole that they appear to be trying to create on Earth, well, that would be the ultimate inversion of creation itself, using a point of singularity to do the opposite of the Big Bang. So, you know, all of the evidence is suggesting that the inversion side of things is huge, everybody. Where were we? We've also got a connection to Amazon via Mishcon de Reya. I'm not going to read all of this because we'll just be here for a long time, but there's multiple connections here, and you can verify that in the document. We've got a connection via Elliot Moss of Mishcon de Reya, spelling mistake there, connects to Central British Fund for World Jewish Relief. It was incorporated in 1984, and it shows a de Reya on one of the pages of its incorporation and appearing to be its own presenter on another with the same company name. Well, you can't have a company that's got already the exact same name trying to create a company name unless they're a sole trader, but these companies are very likely not going to be sole traders. So this is another element of what they're doing, you see. Via Barbara Reeves of Mishcon de Reya LLP connects to Amazon, as I've said, .com.u.k.ltd, Blackstone's Chambers Limited, and to Paramount Pictures International Limited, appearing to make a connection to Hollywood. This company was incorporated in 1997, has Jordan's and Cameron McKenna on its incorporation document, making quick connections to Jimmy Savile. Barbara Reeves is used throughout the fraud and appears to be another stolen identity or fictional name. So we've got all of these connections to via ICRP to Mishcon de Reya, which becomes very relevant in all of this. So also we've got ICRP, International Cancer Research Partnership. Now remember, the evidence is starting to suggest that electromagnetic radiation can cause cancer. So we've now got this organisation, International Cancer Research Partnership Limited, was incorporated in June 2020 during a key time in the COVID situation and has companies made simple on its incorporation document. This suggests that ICNIRP knew that mobile communications technology creates cancer, and I suspect are deliberately facilitating this through their criminal organisation and falsified regulation as part of the COVID deception. Simon Sale of Mishcon de Reya connects to Dundas and Wilson LLP that was incorporated in 2004. Dundas and Wilson links directly to Donald Trump via his Scottish golf clubs, as mentioned previously. So the chain of events in Wuhan in 2019 helped to support the evidence that the COVID and vaccine situation was possibly to hide the threat from directed energy and the larger deception. I'm almost certain of this now. This explains why many people are not actually using the evidence that I have of to prove that the vaccine companies are actually fraudulent criminal companies. Well, why wouldn't you want to use that evidence if you're fighting against the vaccine and COVID situation? It's perfect evidence. It's the main thing you'd need, but they're not using it. So this suggests they have been positioned as part of the deception to hide the real threat, and that does appear to be, at the moment, CERN, but not only CERN, the cell towers, but not only the cell towers, how that ties in with the collider technology, which it appears everyone is trying to hide that, including those that are talking out about the cell towers. This includes Mark Steele, Sasha Stone, Mikey P from the Rapid Response. All of them appear to be, as far as I'm aware, not making that connection with the collider technology, and they're trying to hide that, it would seem. Now, if I'm wrong, please, get in contact with me, these people. I know we've had our differences, but if you really want to know the truth and you really want to save children and protect humanity, then you need to assist in coming away from the crimes or facilitating the crimes against children by actually exposing this fraud. Otherwise, you become part of the problem, don't you? So the chain of events in Wuhan 2019 helped to support this is the case. In July 2019, there were protests regarding planned incinerator plants in Wuhan, and in the same month, Jeffrey Epstein was supposedly arrested, as well as Julian Assange. I'm just going to read that again because I've just added a little bit of information. It's on the other part of the document, but just to tie this in. So in July 2019, there were protests regarding planned incinerator plants in Wuhan, and in the same month, Jeffrey Epstein and Julian Assange were supposedly arrested, and an article claims Prince Harry was wearing the same pair of shoes for a prolonged period of time. This was, and I'll add that again actually in a minute, with which with all of the other evidence acquired, we have to consider was made of the skin of Madeleine McCann. Here's the article in relation to the protests. You can see it's the 8th of July 2019. Wuhan protests, incinerator plan sparks mass unrest. I think that's almost the same day. Was it the 11th? I've got a feeling that Jeffrey Epstein was arrested. I can't remember. It's in the document. But you can see here, while the world's attention has been focused on the protests in Hong Kong, another Chinese city has been witnessing unrest on a scale rarely seen in the mainland. Thousands of citizens of Wuhan, the capital city of Central Hubei province, took to the streets last week for several days. They were angry about a planned waste incineration plant they say will bring dangerous levels of pollution to their town. In August 2019, the following month, cell towers were erected in Wuhan. Note the Guardian article below confirming this. The Guardian are part of the satanic agenda, but infiltrated satanic agenda, it would seem. So with the assistance of IGNA, appeared to deliberately undermine the threat from the cell towers in the article. We'll just have a quick look at that. You can see here how false claims about 5G health risks spread into mainstream. Perfect storm of conditions help nonsense theories around 5G and coronavirus to take hold. Now, it's important to note the Guardian is part of the centralised fraud. So the actual article was on the 7th of April 2020. This is 2 days after Keir Starmer resigned from the Death Penalty Project Limited, which is a criminal organisation tying back in with Madeleine McCann and Bates Wells and Braithwaite, as we looked at earlier. A year ago, the hoax theories about the dangers of 5G had barely pierced the public conscience, largely remaining confined to serious conspiracy theorists such as David Icke. David Icke is actually part of all of this, everybody, all right? In recent weeks, these claims about risks associated with the next generation mobile technology have gone mainstream. Claims linking 5G to the coronavirus pandemic have led to petrol bomb attacks on phone masts and rebuttals from the government. Industry insiders and fact-checking experts point to a perfect storm of conditions that have helped the theory described as dangerous nonsense. They cite the rapid growth of neighbourhood social media groups, failure of networks to promote scientific evidence about 5G, and a terrified population looking to make sense of the world turned upside down. Remember, we're talking about the inversions. Remember, the Guardian is part of this, everybody. The government and mobile networks have been scrambling as some members of the public have turned to telecom engineers and carried out arson attacks on masts that in many cases do not yet have 5G equipment, as the rollout has been so slow. Tom Phillips, the editor of the fact-checking organisation Full Fact, said it warned that last summer about the growing prevalence of 5G health claims, but in recent weeks debunked claims about 5G have been transformed, potentially aided by the creation of new local Facebook WhatsApp groups to help support neighbours during the pandemic. Google Trends suggest British interest in 5G theories exploded in the final days of March, shortly after the lockdown was imposed. Phillips said that one of the difficulties in battling the various claims are hard to pin down exactly what is being suggested. Well, we know for a fact all of these are being put up fraudulently with criminal organisations. That's now proven, and they're using safety certificates that are, according to the research from Colchester Council Watch, that are by dissolved companies. So, as well as all of the other evidence, it's pretty overwhelming, to be honest with you. We've seen theories that the virus is real, but 5G is making it worse. We've seen theories that the symptoms are not the result of the virus, but purely the result of 5G. And we've seen theories that there are no outbreaks at all, and it's all a hoax to cover up the installation of 5G, he said. But reading on further down, you can see here other vital claims emphasised other supposed coincidences. A popular claim that Wuhan was the first city in the world to receive 5G took hold, but Wuhan received 5G coverage in August 2019, also almost 18 months after O2 launched its London testbed for the technology on the Greenwich Peninsula. Iran, meanwhile, has seen an incredibly high number of coronavirus cases despite not having any 5G coverage. The International Commission of Non-Ionizing Radiation Protection, which sets guidelines on the output of mobile masts, says there is not a single scientifically substantiated adverse effect that can attribute to a normal 5G installation. So this is ICNIRP, everybody, that we've just been looking at. All right, so they're part of the fraud, a very significant part of it. So it's overwhelming. This is a cover-up in relation to the cell towers. Now, the Iran comment is interesting, and I hadn't noticed that before, but you've got the connection with Waterlows that was purchased by De La Rue, and in 1965 they started producing currency for Iran, and this all ties in with the immigration agenda, everybody. They've infiltrated every faith group. Okay, this is a huge, massive attack on humanity, according to all of the research. So yeah, come back to the next part, please, and we'll carry on into the evidence, and we'll see how this connects into Lancashire and the Nicola Bulley case.